How secure are we in our Canadian Arctic? With Putin making a claim for Canadian territory several years ago and recently restating the claim just over a month ago, the threat is a very serious one. I've spoken with many experts over the last couple of years about Arctic sovereignty and security who actually live and work in the Arctic. I've heard from many people from Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut who have clearly said that we're not ready, that Canada has retreated from the Arctic, that Canada has vacated the Arctic, and that Canada has abandoned the Arctic. After a recent tour combined with other visits last year to the Arctic in combination with the Auditor General's report, you be the judge. First, NORAD modernization slow to non-existent. $4.9 billion was promised a year ago by Minister Anand, with little spent to date or to show for it. All we have found since the Liberal announcement was $45 million spent to analyze the problem. Second, icebreakers are between 35 and 53 years old and are becoming increasingly prone to breakdown. Replacements take a decade to arrive, and that doesn't even take into consideration the extra traffic projected because of longer shipping seasons. Third, Arctic offshore patrol ships are delayed and supporting infrastructure is lacking. Fourth, our patrol aircraft are reaching the end of their useful lives. Fifth, infrastructure for our Air Force, search and rescue, and support across the north is lacking. We can't even shelter our older air-to-air refueling tankers in the Arctic, let alone land our newer ones, either because of lack of hangar space, runways that aren't long enough, aren't paved, or both. Sixth, and a current lack of satellite surveillance capability now, and as of 2026, our current satellites will be at the end of their lives, when we will potentially be without coverage for 9 years until the replacement satellites can be operational in 2035. Are we secure in our Arctic and our sovereignty protected? We are not secure in our Arctic, and our sovereignty is compromised. That said, the men and women of our Air Force, military, search and rescue, Canadian Coast Guard, and those who support them work extremely hard at keeping Canadians safe and do so proudly. But they need the modern equipment so they can protect our sovereignty from the very present threats in the Canadian Arctic today. As I've said before, our forces and people punch above their weight internationally, especially in the Arctic. It gives me hope, but it also gives me an urgency that we are compromised and that we need to get the support to those protecting our Arctic sovereignty immediately. Empty promises aren't going to cut it anymore, Justin Trudeau. You need to step up or step down so we can get the job done.